I'm now known as the Naughty Badger.
Naughty Badger. There's worse things to be called, I suppose.
Yeah.
Worse things. It hasn't always been that good for you, has it?
No, it definitely hasn't.
No.
As I just touched on earlier, I have been through really bad toxic relationships. There's an iconic model that's only just passed away called Iris Apfel, and she was 102.
Wow.
So yeah, you can do it at any age now.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter.
No.
Do you know, it is true. Hairdressers are probably the best networkers on the planet because they know what everybody's doing. They know where they're going. They know what they're doing to their houses. They know everything about them. On today's episode of The Engaging Marketeer, I am speaking to, I think it can only be described as an astonishing, powerful woman, Teana Lynne. She is the owner of the Naughty Badger Bistro in Chester, but she has such a powerful story that I don't really feel qualified to delve into. Yet I'm going to anyway, in my own bludgeoning nonsense kind of way, and hope that I get the best out of what she's got to tell. She's suffered abuse, both physical and mental. She's won a beauty contest for the British Isles, and she bought a business on a whim and made a success of it. I don't really know where to start with this, so let's just delve in and find out Tina's story. So you run a bistro in Chester.
That's right, yeah.
With a rather strange name.
Yeah, the Naughty Badger.
The Naughty Badger. I have to start straight there. What's the meaning behind the Naughty Badger?
Well, we actually inherited the name. Okay. We took the place over on a whim. Someone sent me a screenshot of the business for sale, and I've left my job in the January, took redundancy. My fiance is a chef, and literally decided, let's go and have a look, see what it's like. So that was the Friday. Saturday morning, came, shook hands. About half an hour later, gave a deposit, signed the lease on the Monday, opened officially on the Friday, and it was already called the Naughty Badger. But we've come in and we've badgerified it to death. Obviously black and white, everything behind me, as you can see, is black and white. We've got Badger stickers, Badger ornaments, Badger toys, Badger pictures, Badger everywhere.
So were you actually looking for a business at the time to buy?
No.
Okay. Most people buy things like, DVDs, maybe a loaf of bread on the spur of the moment. But a bistro?
Yeah, I've been in banking for 15 years, and I won a modelling competition at age 49, having got into modelling at 47.
Wow.
And it made me realise there's more to life than corporate, where you're always hanging on by the skin of your teeth, holding on by your fingertips, waiting for that death knell of it's your turn this time, and constantly reapplying for my own job. And the last time it happened, it was just before COVID. I hung on for 18 months and then thought, why am I doing this? When I won the modelling competition, I thought there's more to life. Let's go and do something else. So my plan was to be a confidence coach, helping women who have no confidence to become confident in like I have. And then I accidentally fell into a job in hospitality in a restaurant, having lunch one day, talking to the operations director, ended up doing sales and marketing for them. And a friend who knew my fiance was a chef, and a bit of a frustrated chef because he's quite a perfectionist, and he always felt like he wasn't in control of his kitchen, that basically he'd make something pretty and maybe front of house wouldn't care enough. That it took all this time to put a flower or whatever on top. So in conversation with my hairdresser, over time, as you always do, you talk to your hairdresser, you tell them whatever. And she was like, oh, I've been thinking of you and your fella. Sent me a screenshot. This would be perfect for him. And it was here for sale.
Oh. Do you know, it is true. Hairdressers are probably the best networkers on the planet because they know what everybody's doing. They know where they're going. They know what they're doing to their houses. They know everything about them. So if you need to know anything about anyone, ask a hairdresser.
Yeah, exactly. Who's doing what and where?
So had you run a business before this?
No, not really. No. I did 15 years in banking in all different types of roles, from PPI to selling cars to fraud and financial crime. My fiance's been in hospitality for years, but more on the bar side. And then he ran a pub and got attacked a few times and decided this is not for me. Was self-taught chef, and we went into a bar where I was modelling. He came to pick me up and they said, you don't know any chefs, do you? And he said, no, but I can cook. And I said, he's a fantastic cook. And that's how he got his first chefing job. That was in 2019. So we both kind of completely stepped out of our comfort zone and done something completely different.
Were you worried at all about taking on a business, particularly a hospitality business, as they'd just been through the most difficult period that they've ever had in their history?
I think it was a case of nothing ventured, nothing gained. In my mind, worst case scenario, we got it for a song, we can just sell it on, and I'll go back to corporate, worst case scenario. So there wasn't a lot to lose. I haven't gone into debt for it. I was using the remainder of my redundancy that I'd just been living on anyway. So at least I felt like we were doing something with that pot of money that had a chance to do something big with it, rather than just living on it month to month.
So it was a calculated risk then, a bit of a punt. Thought there's not much to lose here. Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
So before you bought it, then the business beforehand, was it a sustainable business? Was it doing well, or were they selling it because they needed to get short of it?
They were selling for a few reasons. They were selling because one partner's wife was poorly pregnant, and they were having to close days in the week at short notice. They sold it to us on the proviso that it was all singing, all dancing, doing really well. When we actually opened it, it wasn't really. It was struggling.
So you'd already committed and made the decision before you found out that it wasn't quite as rosy as they...
It was done really quickly. We weren't able to see any accounts. They haven't submitted any accounts yet. They've now dissolved, and that took a year for them to do. So yeah, I think they were struggling. I don't think they put as much marketing experience into it. Nobody knew this existed. I still have people saying, how long has this been here? And they found me on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Google, and they're like, I've been walking up and down trying to find you because we're on the 3rd floor above the Rose. And people say, I took ages trying to find you. Thank God for that A-board on the street, things like that. And I don't think they really did that, whereas I'm non-stop.
Yeah. To be honest, I've been in Chester quite a bit, and I didn't know that it was there. I know about the Jaunty Goat, which is not far from
further along.
And I know about Leonidas, which is no longer there, because a friend of mine...
We're above there, pretty much.
You're above where Leonidas used to be.
Yes, above Leonardo's, you've got the Goldsmiths Jewellers, and above there, we're above there. Currently, we are looking for somewhere street level.
Oh, you are looking to relocate?
Yes.
And how's that search going? So I imagine that could be quite costly to find a different...
That's the scary bit. That's the very scary bit, because we've been told by our accountant it's time to jump. Now it's time to be brave if you want to make money, because, when you're a new business, you don't make money. And we can't do any more than we're doing, really, because we can't open at night because we're above a jeweler. We share a doorway.
Oh, I didn't.
So
of course.
Quite restricted. So if we had our own premises, then we'll have more rent to pay. Yes, we'll have more rates to pay. Yes, we'll have more of everything to pay, but we'll have more ability to take money because we can extend our hours.
So when you
even bigger, we could stay open later.
Yeah. So when you took it over, then how did you start promoting it and marketing it to do things differently?
I took over the Facebook page that had about 1,600 followers. I think we're on 3K now.
Okay, that's not bad.
Through previously to here, when I've done network marketing, I've sold makeup, I've sold lashes, I've sold beauty stuff. So I've been on lots of branding and marketing courses where, people need to like, know and trust you, and you've got to be consistent. So I've used everything I've learned over the years into that social media marketing.
Was that Avon or Arbonne Forever Living?
Oh God, all sorts. I've done Avon. I've done, what the hell is it called? Some really expensive brand that I can't even remember the name of now. Lashes that don't exist anymore. I mean, literally all sorts of stuff. What was it? It was called Beauty Boss or something like that. They changed the name. It was quite classy to start with, and then they changed it to some like boss girl type stuff. And I was like, eek. I'm a woman. I don't want to be calling myself a boss girl. It sounds awful. So yeah, I think I used a lot of that knowledge to just market and be consistent and always show my face and talk. I go to so many networking events, and wherever I go, I've now, oh, this is the lady from the Naughty Badger. I'm now known as the Naughty Badger.
Naughty Badger. There's worse things to be called, I suppose. Worse things. You mentioned you touched on the modelling.
Yep.
Now that's quite interesting to start modelling. Did you say it was 47 you started modelling?
Yes.
What made you want to do that? Because that's quite a brave thing to do. I'm 47 now. I don't look as good as you do, but
oh, thank you.
I don't think it's hardly a compliment. Come on, I don't think I'd want to go out and start modelling now. I'm way far too gone. So what made you want to do that?
It was a teenage dream. I started modelling when I was younger. Having been I was the proper ugly duckling kid that didn't get asked out on a date in school, had no confidence whatsoever. Went to a camera club with my friend's dad, and lots of people took pictures of me, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm okay, maybe I'm not ugly. And it started to give me a little bit of confidence. And I started doing a little bit of modelling. There used to be an old shopping channel called Granada Shop.
Okay.
Like way back in the day, I was on there and stuff like that. And then unfortunately, in a toxic relationship, and that was all stopped. So my childhood dream got stopped very quickly. And I left that relationship, and the next relationship, that partner was like, yeah, you're probably too old now. So I put it away as, well, it never happened, never mind. And then a friend who had a boutique said, would you mind doing a bit of modelling for me for the shop? Just for social media. It is something I do want to do, but it's something now as a mature model I can do right up until I'm 70, 80, 90. I mean, there's an iconic model that's only just passed away called Iris Apfel, and she was 102.
Wow.
So yeah, you can do it at any age now.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter.
No.
So I've looked into your background, and one of the things you talk about is that everything's going good for you now. With obviously you've got the modelling, and you've got the bistro, and you do motivational talks as well. But it hasn't always been that good for you, has it?
No, it definitely hasn't.
No.
As I had just touched on earlier, I have been through really bad toxic relationships.
Yeah. You mentioned, and I think it's a newspaper article, I think, about you in relation to the modelling, about how you were, was it living out of bin bags at one point?
Well, when my first relationship, I was actually groomed, and I was trafficked, and I escaped. He was 32 years older than me.
Okay.
I was groomed from 14, moved in at 17, and I escaped at 30. And I literally got driven to Chester and dumped in Chester with my life in bin bags, with £600 in the bank and £10,000 debt.
Okay.
And had to start again.
And
then...
At the time, did you have any idea that you were being groomed?
No, not really. Believe it or not, I was watching Coronation Street. I would say it's about maybe 5-6 years ago, and it was the storyline where, is it the Platt family, the young girl in it,
Yes.
Bethany Platt, was being groomed by
Sarah's
some
daughter,
bedman.
yeah. Yeah.
And I sat there crying my heart out going, I just realised that happened to me. So it took me to that age to realise.
You just realised by watching Coronation
I
Street
knew it was wrong, but I didn't realise
to the extent.
I didn't realise I was groomed. I knew I was brainwashed, but I hadn't realised there was a word for it, and that's what happened to me.
Wow.
So it was literally that storyline that made me wake up and realise and start to heal, to be honest, and realise it wasn't my fault. It doesn't define me. It happened to me.
So all the feelings you had at the time, that they'd have been assumed they would have felt completely real. They'd have felt totally natural that you were with somebody for the right reasons.
Yeah, I was completely thought I was in love with that man, and now I'm like, no, you weren't. You were completely brainwashed. Everything, totally. All my beliefs were eradicated, and his beliefs were placed into my head, and I wasn't allowed to do anything without permission, from what I wore down to makeup, hair, how I wore my hair, physical clothes, no friends, totally isolated.
And how did you meet someone like that?
He was my school friend's dad.
Oh, that's worse.
So someone I thought I could trust.
Was your school friend aware of any of this?
She just thought he was dating me, because he'd also dated another friend of hers. I think it was a bit of an unhealthy family.
The understatement of the century, I think.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
What kind of? Forgive me if this is the impersonal kind of question I shouldn't be asking, but what kind of person was he, or did he appear?
When I first met him, I thought, because my dad was a strict Victorian, and he was really fun, and he spoke to me not like a child, he spoke to me as an adult, and being really shy and insecure, he would compliment me, he'd draw me out and get me to talk, he bought me gifts, I offered to babysit, he'd ask me to babysit and he'd pay me a lot of money, which I never got. It was like £10 babysit, and I used to get £15 a month pocket money. So I used to think, God, I wish my dad was like that. And then gradually it was manipulation to make you think that nobody else understands you, only he understood me.
Yeah, I'm remembering the Coronation Street storyline, and that's kind of how it went, isn't it? How when that guy made, because he's a policeman in that series, wasn't he? He made how Bethany feel that she was misunderstood by everybody else, and only he understood her, and he treated her like an adult, when she clearly wasn't at the time. So, at what point did you start to realise that this wasn't right?
So I went to beauty college to try and prove to him I had a brain, and my tutor gave me a book, Men Who Hate Women and the Women That Love Them.
Right.
And I read it and was like, oh, I recognize a lot of this. But then the person that wrote it had also been through narcissistic abusive relationships. So I think there was an edge to it. It didn't quite, it kind of made me think, oh, I can help save him, because it explained why they are this way. So I tried to fix him when he obviously didn't want to be fixed.
Didn't want to be fixed, no. So was there anyone in your life that identified this and tried to get you out of it?
No, I mean, I didn't speak to my parents for a while. And then when I did speak to them again, I convinced them I was happy. I convinced them that everything was good. I became a very good actress. And then when my mum and dad split up, they never said anything at the time. But when I did finally get the courage to leave him, my dad told my mum, tell her to be careful, because he threatened me with a knife when we split up. So he wasn't a very nice man.
Wow.
And my dad was like 68, something like that at the time. So it wasn't very nice.
So at what point did you then realise that You needed to get out of it, and how did you do that?
It was a client that convinced me that I deserved better and saved me, in inverted commas. I now realise that he saved me for his own devices, his own personal use instead.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Yeah, but because he was much nicer and there was less red flag. Well, I couldn't see the red flags because they weren't as bad as the first one. I thought it was fine. And at first it was fine. He seemed lovely. It was only as time went on that the red flags started to come out, and he ended up with a drug and alcohol problem. And I eventually, 8 years later, left him and walked out again with my life in bin bags, and this time with £36,000 credit card debt that he'd racked up in my names.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've started twice before and literally walked out, and I went and get a room in a shared house and just took all my clothes and started again.
Wow. What kind of bravery does it take to walk out on something like that? Not once, but twice.
I don't think it's brave. I think it's self-preservation. The first time I remember thinking I would rather be dead than stay another day, and thought I probably would die if I stayed, in all honesty. The day I left, I thought he would go and get a gun and kill me or mutilate me in some way. I honestly did not think he'd let me go. And the second one wasn't a violent person. It was more emotional abuse. And I just thought, I can't live I've done this once before. I can't live like this. I can't spend the rest of my life like this. And anything's better than this. So it wasn't brave, it was self-preservation.
I think it still classes as bravery, because I won't say it's easy, but it's very difficult to make a change that you know is going to be difficult and upsetting, even if it's the right thing to do. So if you're in a bad relationship and you're experiencing abuse, physical, mental, emotional, even if you're suffering it, it's hard to then go, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to get out.
That's why a lot of women stay.
Yeah, the turmoil.
They don't know how to get out, and they just can't imagine where to start. But I like to think that I'm proof you can. And no matter how bad it is, you can start again. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can start again. Just believe in yourself. Yeah. And there's so much help out there. And when you actually tell people, there's so many people that are there for you.
And
there's quite a lot of kind people out there, you'd be surprised.
There are, if you can find the right ones. There's a lot of kind people out there. Do you know what happened to him? What became of him after you left?
The first guy, I've no idea. I think he's still alive. I don't know. He would be 50, 60, 70, 82, 83 now, which just makes my skin crawl. My brother has seen him in Liverpool at some point, and he asked it years ago and said, where's your Teana? It's like, I can't tell you. I tried to disappear totally, so he'd never find me. So I don't know. I assume he's still alive. Only the good die young, so he'll probably live to 102. Second one is in Thailand with his lady friend.
Right. And this might be an impossible question, but I'm sure you've thought about it. If you did see that first guy again, what would you say to him?
I think I'd probably be terrified. I'd still be scared of him.
Still holds that power now?
Yes. I hope I never see him.
Does that affect you still in where you go?
It doesn't. Well, yeah, it does, because for a long time I couldn't drive to Liverpool. I've only just started driving to Liverpool to visit my mum now. I'd have a panic attack driving to Liverpool until literally a year ago. Yeah, I still find that difficult. Yeah. I think I had had hypnotherapy to deal with anxiety to just drive the car to Liverpool when my mum was in hospital. And I was like, I've got to go there. I need to. Oh, it was so hard, but I just had to go see my mum. So that's when I got the balls to do it the first time, really. And try and say to myself, don't let him still have control over you in any shape, way, or form. Even if it kills you getting there because you're like this, driving, terrified, do it. Yeah, I would never want to see him again.
Oh. And I presume you don't have any interaction or haven't seen the friend that was his daughter from school?
No, because the funny, she didn't like me going out with him and she didn't like me dumping him. So either way, I couldn't win.
So she had no idea then throughout any of this what he was like, and even afterwards?
Yeah, she did. But
oh, okay.
I don't think they even speak anymore. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think any of his kids speak to him anymore, to be honest.
That's understandable.
Very
but
much so.
You've used this experience, and you now provide motivational talks for others.
Yeah.
So what was the thinking behind that made you want to do that? Because public speaking is quite a terrifying ordeal in itself.
It is, but it's not as scary as what I've been through. And if I can help one person, if I can reach one person and tell their story while I'm telling mine and make them know they're not alone and that you can survive, you can get out, and it's not the end, it's not just I'm a survivor or I'm not even a victim, and you don't have to be a victim. You can thrive after this. Doesn't matter what you did or what you went through. That isn't who you are. You are who you are now. And it's not you're stronger because of it. You're stronger because you survived and you proved that you had the strength inside all along. So I've done a couple of I did one where I've had a lady message me afterwards and say, thank you for telling my story. I've been raped and I couldn't tell anyone. I've had a gentleman come up to me and say, I've just left a 35-year-old abusive marriage. Thank you for giving me hope. And I had a young girl say, I haven't been through anything like what you have, but there's a lot there that resonates.
Wow.
Thank you. So it doesn't matter. Like, I've nearly cried when I've done these speeches sometimes, but it's fine because if it just lets people, just one person in that room, if you can just get to one that goes, oh my God, it's going to be okay, it's worth it.
You used the word victim in there. Do you consider yourself a victim?
No, I'm a survivor. A victim was a long time ago.
With
I survived abuse.
Yeah. With the talks that you do, where do you do them and what sort of audience are they?
I've done different ones. I've done on Zoom, online, in communities, in female-led communities a lot of the time. I've done in ladies' charity lunches, that kind of thing. It's predominantly women, but it has been mixed audience occasionally, but it's been mainly women.
Have you considered doing a TEDx talk?
I would love to. I would love to. That's on my vision board.
Well, listeners to my podcast will know I've done one. I did one last year, and it's in Chester.
Oh.
So yeah, they have a TEDx in Chester.
I did not know that. I thought the nearest was Warrington or Northwich.
No. Well, there's Warrington and Northwich as well. Yeah, you've done your research, I can tell. There's one in Manchester, which has just happened. Chester was a couple of weeks ago. It's at the university in Chester.
Oh, I'll have to look into that.
I think your story would be perfect for them. For if it empowers any young women from today and educates the men as well, it would have the perfect impact, I think, for what they're looking for. I'll put you in touch with them afterwards.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, I'll put you in touch because I think you'd be absolutely spot on for it.
Thank
I couldn't
you.
think of a better subject, to be honest with you. Couldn't think of a better one. So let's get back to the bistro. Let's get back to the happy stuff, the happy stuff. Other than looking for new premises, or even included with that, where do you hope to take this?
Oh, goodness. I've massive dreams. We'll go way out there. Let's have a Naughty Badger in York, in Liverpool, in Chester.
Badgers everywhere as far as the eye
Why
can
not?
see.
Let's have badgers everywhere. We want to do things like my chef is my fiance. He makes his own burger sauce. He'd love to do his own chili. We'd love to, so like, the Naughty Badger chili and the Naughty Badger burger sauce. Whatever, we could do a lot more than we are.
So are you thinking of franchising, or are you thinking of opening more branches?
Franchising is actually, I would think I'd probably go down the franchising route, because then there's not the headache of having lots and lots and lots of shops in lots of cities and lots of traveling and lots of work running around. Franchise would probably work really well, because then you've got some control of what it's got a brand that you've got to stick to. I mean, McDonald's, and they're franchises, aren't they now?
They are, yes.
And you just make a small amount of each franchise, rather than having the headache of running it fully and making more. But you just take a little bit
So
of passive income.
What passive? I'm not sure it's quite passive at the beginning. I think it's very difficult. So what's the USP with it? What's the unique thing about the restaurant, other than obviously the quirky name? What is it that it does differently to other places, certainly in Chester?
So we are very quirky. We are very cute. Everything on the menu is naughty but nice. Everything is a bit different. So we have the Naughty Badger breakfast, the honey badger, the badger stack. So we keep the badger theme all the way through it. It's restaurant quality food. Everything looks pretty on a plate. But it's like eating at home with the badgers. So you've got that homely comfort. So you are eating at home with the badgers, but you're eating restaurant quality
with the
food.
badgers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Chief Badger and the Badgerettes.
So what's your most popular dish?
I would say most popular breakfast dish. It's either the Naughty Badger breakfast or the honey badger. So the honey badger is my favourite. That's smashed avo with chili on a brioche with a poached egg drizzled with honey.
I do like a poached egg. I do like a poached egg.
Honey just works so well with that chili. And then the lunchtime menu. Oh, I think what would be our biggest? I would say the minted lamb burger flies out.
Ooh, I do like a minted lamb burger.
Yeah, that's really popular. That's on this new menu that we just recently brought out, and that flies out.
Yeah.
So everything comes with chips, with fries. Not, as I say, nothing healthy. Everything from dirty fries to huevos rancheros, burgers, sandwiches. I think the most healthy thing we have is avocado, basil, and tomato, but it comes with a side of fries.
Of course, people have got to eat.
Yeah, and then we've got cakes, which are always yummy. So yeah, coffees, teas, of course, and then we're licensed as well. So,
win-win.
Winner.
So the only disadvantage then, as you were saying, is the fact that you can't stay open late.
Yeah, we have to be out by 5:30. So really, by 3:00, you really need to call it quits, because you need people to enjoy their food and leave, and have time to clean up and tidy down before we have to be off the premises. So yeah, that's the downside.
So in order to really make it successful, you do need to move. Then you can't stay where you are.
Yeah.
Have you got your eye on any particular areas, any locations?
We want to stay in Chester in the centre. There are a couple of opportunities that are just the wrong end of town. We really want to stay this end, if possible. We've been to see a couple of venues. The difficulty as well is some of the venues are a lot bigger and we don't want to go too big because we want to still be able to manage it personally. And we also want, we don't want to go crazy with the rent and the rates, which is obviously in Chester ludicrously high.
Yeah.
So it's having that leap, but not jumping too high.
How bad are they? Because I hear a lot from people that own restaurants, cafes, bistros, shops in Chester that it is obscene, the rents.
Yeah. So 2 properties I've been to see, £30,000 a year rent. One was 45. The rates were 28. They wanted a £22,000 rent guarantee.
That's a lot of dosh in the hole straight away.
One property we went to see, it would cost £90,000 a year for energy.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. We didn't go for that one.
No.
Yeah.
God.
So you can see why businesses, especially in hospitality, really struggle because you haven't just got heating, you've got everything going. So your electric's obviously a lot higher, your water usage will be a lot higher. And unfortunately, everything's subject to VAT. So 20%, and it's not 20% off your profit, it's 20% of your turnover that goes to the VAT man. So you have to make a lot before you make anything.
Yeah, it's
hard.
I was having this discussion yesterday with a lady that helps. She's a business consultant and she used to be a salon owner and she helps salons.
Yeah.
So the big problem with salons is a lot of them are teetering just below the VAT threshold. So when they teeter over the VAT threshold, they then have to obviously put 20% on all of the prices, which means they're not competitive with the people that are just below the VAT threshold. So it's a really big problem in that industry. In your industry, is it an issue, or are you always well over the VAT threshold for a business of your size?
Our first year, we turned over 101, so we were just over it, but not really enough to make it. We literally just made that bit that paid them.
It's about the worst turnover to be, isn't it?
I almost got a salary. Instead it went to the VAT man.
Yeah, a lady called Natasha, and she was saying how 100 grand is the most dangerous turnover point for a salon.
Yeah, and that's where we were last year, 100 grand.
And of course, they've just put the VAT threshold up, but which isn't really going to help anybody at all. So I don't even know why they bothered. It's just going to make the maths more difficult. Yeah.
I think personally VAT should be on profit, not on turnover, because the profit's this small. Turnover might be this big, but the margins are so small because if like our accountant says put your prices up, so if I put my prices up, people aren't going to come because they're going to say, well, I can go down the road and get a breakfast for 10 quid.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? That's what people will say. They're always going to obsess over it. You see this on like Facebook posts when people are asking for cakes. Who can make me one of these cakes? And it's I can do that. It costs this. So I can get it in Aldi for that. It's not quite the same thing, is it? It's not quite the same thing. Yeah. You can buy an apple pie in Sainsbury's for £1. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get someone to bake you for that, are you? The ingredients are going to cost far more. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
They've got no idea about how it works. It's why I never want to get involved in hospitality. I'm completely the wrong person for it. And I hate people. So.
I think Chef prefers to stay indoors. He's not a people person, whereas I'm a people person.
What kind of chef is he? Because some chefs are quite, you know what I'm saying.
He can be.
Yeah, he can be. I didn't even need to say it, did I?
You say a little bit stressed at times.
Stressed, a little bit godlike.
Not godlike, no. It's more like if there's that many checks coming through, and it's such a tiny kitchen. So I do get it. He's got a kitchen that it's got 2 bins, 1 oven, and he's literally got a metre, maybe wide, to do everything on.
Yeah, so he needs a bigger kitchen as well as you need a bigger bistro
too. So I can understand how he gets stressed, to be honest, because he has to do everything, and our pass only fits 4 or 5 plates. So even he can do 1 table at a time. So we've got all 6 tables come and arrive at once. And he's got 6 checks on. It's hard. So yeah, he can get a little bit stressed.
But you don't get stressed. You're front of house and happy, smiley, and everybody's great.
As far as everyone can see in the guests, of course I get stressed.
Any particular customer? No, I can't ask you that.
No, it's just the hardest is when everyone turns up at once and you think, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I've only got one pair of hands, and you're serving one table and you're doing the drinks and the food and the clearing and the resetting, and someone will say, did you bring my water? And you've got like 2 plates. Yeah, I will when I put these down.
Yes, I've got your water. I'm just clenching it now between my buttocks. Let me turn around and drop it off for you.
I've only got 2 hands. Yeah, you just smile and you walk to the other room and you go, ah! Then you come back with another smile.
Yeah. You'd have to be mad to work in hospitality, wouldn't you? Completely mad. Yes. I think we're pretty much out of time now. We're pretty much out of time. You probably need to go and clear stuff up now anyway.
I do. Yeah, I've got to go get the tables and chairs in.
So for anyone listening to this that thinks I really want a bit of Naughty Badger in my life, what times do you open? Where can people find you, and can they book? And what social media accounts are you on?
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're now on TikTok.
TikTok.
I'm on TikTok now. I think my TikTok is naughty_badger_. I think I've got that many names now. I have to remember them all. I'm on Twitter, or X as it's called, and we are on Bridge Street, Row East. So if you know Chester and you're at the clock and you're looking towards the river, go on your left-hand side rows. About 4 shops down, you've got a jewellers, Powell's Jewellers, Nichols Clothes Shop, Goldsmiths Jewellers. There'll be a badger outside. It's a mannequin with a badger mask. It says this way, and follow the paw prints up the stairs and we're up there. You can book Monday to Friday. Weekends we don't take bookings because we are so busy and demands are constant that it's just too difficult for us to book on weekends. The only thing we do book is our monthly roast dinner.
Monthly roast dinner?
Yes, on the last Sunday of the month we do a roast dinner, and the reason we book is because we only do it to order. So we take pre-orders, and then that way there's no waste.
Nice. I like the sound of that. And I will
and if you like good gravy, it's proper gravy. It starts it on a Thursday with the bones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah, proper gravy.
Bone stock, right. It's proper northern gravy. None of this southern stuff.
No, not watery, waste of space stuff. It's proper gravy. Gravy you want to get your bread in and dunk in.
I know the kind of gravy you mean. So thank you. I will put all of those links in the podcast description and below the video. So anyone watching or listening to this, if you want to follow any of the socials, just look down below and click on any of the links there, and you'll be able to do that. So thank you very much for being on this. I realise you've only just finished a busy shift in the bistro today, and you've had customers to chase out while we've been recording this, which has been very entertaining. So I'll thank you for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.